Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's a starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's game against Midtjylland in Denmark. We come into it off the back of that 3-1 extra time victory over Rangers on Sunday. I have to say, what an encouraging, refreshing performance. I think to see Celtic come out on top in a big game was long overdue. To win one of these derbies, I think it had been far too long. The record in the last 12 months wasn't good in these games, and I think you can see the renewed energy and impetus that has been in the team in the last week or so. Has only been 2 games, but I think particularly that win on Sunday will give the team confidence, and I think you have to credit Martin O'Neill and the interim management team with really galvanising the squad. I think you can tell that this renewed energy and renewed sort of confidence the team has found has come off the back of that change in the dugout. I think it shows you it was the right decision for Brendan Rodgers to resign. I've stopped way short of buying into any theory that it was Brendan Rodgers, everything was Brendan Rodgers' fault and the board are absolutely perfect. We'd got it all wrong. The problems within the squad, within the recruitment structure are all still there. All of the problems at boardroom level are all still there. But I think the change in the dugout has given renewed confidence to the team, and I think we saw that on Sunday. I think the games are more open. I think we're playing at a better speed. We're a bit more direct. And like I say, that is meaning that there's more chances for both teams. And I expect this to be a test for us tomorrow, this game, which we'll look at in more detail in a minute. But I think it is just encouraging and, like I say, so refreshing to see a Celtic team find its confidence again and sort of find impetus, because I think we were going down a dead end with Brendan Rodgers. The cycle was finished. It looked like there was no way of making things better. Things were actually getting worse on the pitch. So in terms of what's happening on the field, there is no doubt this has lifted us in the last sort of 7 or 8 days. And I think tomorrow we're in a much better position now to go and play a European away game. And I think, like I say, the big win on Sunday against your rivals in a cup semi-final, making a cup final, should put the team in a good place to tackle this challenge tomorrow. Before we go any further, once again, the Larson t-shirt. Check out Tees for Tim's range. Click the link in the description. You can get 10% off with the code CFTV. Midtjylland are currently top of the Europa League table coming into this round of fixtures. They've won all 3 of their opening games. They beat Sturm Graz on the first day. They won away at Nottingham Forest when Ange Postecoglou was in charge. They won 3-2 there, as I'm sure most of you know, and then they had a really convincing win over Maccabi Tel Aviv as well on match day 3. So they're full of confidence. They're sitting second in the domestic league. It is a club that have made huge strides in recent seasons. They're really progressive and modern in terms of the way they do things, the way they recruit, what they do off the pitch. They're really competent and physical, and I think they're really strong from set pieces as well. So, like I say, a competent side that will make life difficult for us tomorrow. This is not an easy game, but for us, we are in a better position now to take on a challenge like this than we were 10 to 14 days ago. Again, the context of this game for us in the Europa League is that we do have to get something from it. We do have to win it. Okay, it's not win or bust yet, but we do need to get points on the board. After the point on match day 1, getting beat on match day 2, we find ourselves quite far down the Europa League table in 21st position, so we don't have the luxury of any free hits at this stage. It is a big game for us tomorrow if we're to try and make progress in this competition. And like I say, we have to get something from it, but it will be a test, because I think Midtjylland, like I say, a really competent team. But this Celtic side with confidence can go into it in much better shape than they have done recently. Now, Martin O'Neill, off the back of the weekend, again, with every good result that goes by when he's here, he will be asked about, do you want to take it? Have you had any conversations about taking the job to the end of the season? Would you like it permanently? All these things are going to go on. I don't think that's on the cards. I think my expectation when Brendan Rodgers left and the interim management team was confirmed is that the next international break is the most likely time for Celtic to appoint a new permanent manager. Now we find ourselves a week or so on, and there's no real front runners. There's no concrete news on a pursuit of a new permanent Celtic manager, so you don't expect anything to happen before that international break. We've got Midtjylland tomorrow. We've got Kilmarnock at the weekend, and then you'd expect things to move during that break. Again, with the manager leaving last Monday, you wouldn't expect someone to be thrust in straight away to take on these games in a congested run of fixtures, but I think the international break represents a good opportunity for the club to try and get someone in. But like I say, there's no real clear obvious front runner, and it doesn't look like things are really moving forward at pace just now. That's as far as we know. What you hear from the media and the likes, there's no real news on it. Things are, I'm sure, are going on behind the scenes, but it doesn't look imminent in any way, shape or form. So we'll see how things progress off the pitch over the next week or so into that international break. But while we're here with an interim management team in charge, like I say, they deserve credit for what they've brought, and long may the good results continue while they are there. I understand that there will be some of you who wouldn't be opposed to Martin O'Neill remaining in charge, but like I say, I don't think it's on the cards. I don't think it really should be on the cards, and I think the pursuit of a permanent manager is very, very important for us. I think everybody needs that to get a clear picture of where we are going forward, and with January coming up, I think a new manager that's going to take us through to the end of the season needs to be in place to have a long-term view of that transfer window and assess the squad and bring in the players in the positions that they need to. Like I say, we'll see how things unfold. Interesting, the link with Kilmarnock's David Watson the other day as well, which is interesting. Does the manager need to sanction that signing? Does he need to sign off on it like the manager does on all Celtic signings, despite the fact we don't have a permanent manager in place? Let us know what you think of the David Watson rumours, but we'll see how things go over the next couple of weeks with the pursuit of a new Celtic manager. Let's turn our attention to the starting 11 for the game tomorrow. Now, I think the game at the weekend was probably the first game in a long time we can look at the performance of Kasper Schmeichel and say that he really stood up and made big saves for us. He's made some high-profile errors against Braga, the one in the cup final, or the two that spring to mind at the back end of last season. There has been question marks around him and a desire to maybe see Sinisalo play more often. I did get it right the weekend. I thought Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney and the team would want some continuity and leadership with an experienced figure like Kasper in the team, given that we were missing the likes of Johnston, Carter Vickers, and I think he did well. I think, like I say, he made big saves in the game. The two that stand out are the one from Raskin in the first half, the 1-on-1, and then I think was it the first half of extra time, Gassama gets through in behind Trusty 1-on-1 and he makes a brilliant save with his foot. So big saves at key times in the game. That's what you want for your goalkeeper, and he did that at the weekend. Now, back four, I'm going to go unchanged. Martin O'Neill didn't give too much away in the press conference. He did say there was some bumps and bruises from the weekend, but I think it will be Ralston, Trusty, Scales and Sriracha. Now, I know that some of them cramped up towards the end of the game. Sriracha came off, replaced by Tierney, who did well and set up the third goal for Osmond as well. But I just feel like that continuity, which the team has, I think the manager will want continuity from the performance at the weekend. And I think that will mean he'll stick with that back four and no prizes for guessing that the rest of the team looks very similar as well. So in midfield, it's McGregor, Engels, Negrin, and front three, I'm going to Nekte on the left, Dijsmaid on the right, and Johnny Kenny through the middle. So we'll start with that midfield. I think, again, all three of them came out looking much better than they have done in recent big games. They've all come in for criticism, as has Hatate, who came on later in the game. I thought Engels particularly, great ball in for the first goal, his set-piece delivery. It did wane a wee bit in the second half and in extra time, but I think it's a real threat for us when he's on the pitch, and I think we got much more aggression out of him, and we know he's mobile, he can get about the pitch, but I think he was involved a lot more, and we wanted to see a better performance from him in those big games. And Callum McGregor, again, who does come in for a lot of criticism, incredible, really good performance, a brilliant goal at a key time, just having conceded the equaliser and then ending normal time, you're going to extra time not knowing what to expect, because Rangers did edge big periods in that second half, but a great time to get a goal. What a brilliant strike from the captain. I think he performed much better as well. And then front three, Dyson Maeda, like we talked about in the post-match pint, he was back much more like himself. The intensity in his pressing, he caused Rangers real problems. He got on the end of a couple of chances he maybe could have done better with. He maybe could have had a goal of his own. But it was really encouraging to see a proper Dyson Maeda performance, because again, that was a big criticism of him through the summer, and then when the story about his future came out, he just looked like he didn't want to be there. So again, I think he's benefited from this change, and long may it continue. If he's going to leave in January, so be it, but if he can put in that sort of intensity from Sunday for the rest of his Celtic appearances, we'll be doing fine. Tenekte, again, a constant outlet as he always is for us. There was a stage in the game when he came off, you thought there was a lot of players booked in the game, and you felt like Martin O'Neill might bring one of those players who'd been yellow carded off, but Tenekte came off. Dyson went to the left hand side, but I think while Tenekte was on, he had a lot of the ball. He caused Rangers problems. Yes, there is an issue with the output. There's not always quality at the end of it. There's not enough pinpoint crosses and passes or shots on target at the end of it. He had that one in the first half that came back to him. Really the first meaningful effort of the game, and you think just get it on target, make Butland make a save, and he blazed it over. So there is that end product element with Tenekte, which I think is understandable. A young winger, he's clearly got ability, but you are just looking for his output in terms of goals and assists to improve. But again, like I say, he's never hiding. He is constant outlet for us. And let's hope he can perform well again tomorrow. Johnny Kenny up front, who I think we got a great shift out of. He scored a brilliant goal, a really, really good header. I think him and Osmond have shown something in these last two games. Now, that's not to dispel the desire and the need for another striker or the need for a better player in that area of the pitch, but he does deserve credit because he put himself about. He showed good energy. Like I say, the header was brilliant. And then Osmond comes on, and he caused real problems for Rangers as well with his pace. He should have scored the one in normal time, but like I say, that was basically his first proper one-on-one chance in senior football in a big game like that in a semi-final. So not surprising that he passed it up, but didn't lose confidence from it, didn't let his head go down. He kept working. He was a constant thorn on Rangers' side, and then he slides in that Kieran Tierney cross late on to get his goal, and he's come into the Europa League squad in place of Cameron Carter-Vickers as well, who's out injured until this group stage is finished, so that's why we've made that change. I think Osmond is clearly one that you have to think that Sean Maloney and anyone who's been involved with the B team has had a huge influence on, because there's no way Martin O'Neill knew much about Callum Osmond. I think Maloney's alluded to that the way he's been training the last couple of months, having seen him, he felt like he was ready to contribute to the first team. And I think you can't argue with that given what we saw on Sunday. Now, he's still a young kid. He's not played a lot of senior football at all. I think the role of coming off the bench to be an impact sub is one that really suits him just now. I think we can use him in this next period like that. Maybe he can have the odd start if need be. But I think when he's got that energy to come off the bench and impact the game at that age, trying to make your mark in the first team, I think that role really suits him just now. But it was good to see some really meaningful input from Johnny Kenny, but also have a striker coming off the bench who's contributing as well. Now, it is only one game, but it was a big game. Let's hope they can continue to contribute, because if Iheanacho's out, it is solely on the shoulders of those two to lead the line up front for Celtic until January, where I fully expect we address the situation in that area of the pitch. That's why it's important for us to get a new permanent manager in and have certainty about where we're going and how we're moving forward. But for now, I think Kenny will keep his place. I think that should be an unchanged team from Sunday. I know with these fixtures, you could make the case for changes, but I think, again, the continuity to build on Sunday will be there for the game tomorrow. This Sunday's game against Kilmarnock is maybe one where The management team will feel they can maybe make 1 or 2 changes, being at home, back at league duty, having travelled during the week. We might see a freshened up 11 then, but I've just gone for the same team from Sunday. You can let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please like the video, and we'll be back with you tomorrow with the full-time reaction after the game. Thank you.